someone. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday, November the 7th. And for many of y'all that might have already known, I just turned 28 this past Monday. So, yeah. Yes, it was really great. And just to give you a heads up, too, you know, like Jake said earlier, I just want to kind of brief it a little bit again. Do not be too wound up when I have a little surprise for you guys at the end. So just, yeah, thought I'd let you know about that. Anyway, I have some bad news about the forecast, guys. It's going to be cold. Like, really, really, really cold. Yeah. Well, that's Friday, but then it's going to warm up Saturday and Sunday. Then it's going to drop like a rock again the following week. But anyway, your forecast today calls for a high of around like 48 or 44 for the morning, but then it's going to drop to the mid to low 30s by the afternoon hours. And then, as you all might have known already, it's raining out there.
Yeah, I know that.
And I don't know what was going on this morning, but I had a few sleet pellets hitting me on the head when I was walking out. So, yeah, it's already at that transitional point where we might see a few snowflakes flying through the air. But otherwise, you know, it's going to be the high of, like I said, in the 40s throughout the morning, then it's going to drop throughout the day to the mid to low 30s. And the wind is kind of gusty too, so just be sure you bundle up. And like y'all saw me do earlier, I drank a little cup of hot tea, so just, you know, just do whatever you can to stay warm. And tomorrow, the high of 39, and then the low of 25, partly cloudy. Saturday, the high of 47, the low 35, partly cloudy again. And Sunday, the high of 55 and a low 36, and partly cloudy as well. And like I said earlier, the temperatures are going to go down like a rock. So Monday, the high will be in the low 40s, but then the lows be in the lower to mid 20s, and then Tuesday and Wednesday, this is where it drops even more. So, and let me tell you a little bit about this. The reason why is because we're getting cold air that's coming from northern Siberia. Northern Siberia is sending us their cold air. But anyway, it's Tuesday and Wednesday. It'll be going to be in the low 30s, and then the lows will be in the low mid 20s. So the weekend events, here we go. I'm going to start with the two adoption events first. The first one is tomorrow. I will be at the Pets Plus in Fort Mitchell from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. And it's for Forgotten Dog Rescue. And I'll be handing out flyers and, you know, talking to people about how to get a dog in their family if they want one. And so yeah, that's for 12 to 3 tomorrow. And I'll be with Stephanie Weddle, of course. But you know, like I said, it's the Forgotten Dog Rescue at the PetSmart or Pets Plus in Fort Mitchell. Then the next event is the PetSmart in Newport on Sunday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. As always, you can always talk to her or talk to Stephanie Weddle or see website for further details. And that's going to be from 11 to 2, and that's for Forgotten Dog Rescue. The third event is, this is in honor of our veterans. It's Heroes and History Celebration down at Union Terminal, Sunday from 10 to 4 p.m. And so basically what's going to be going on, so there's going to be a lot of events going on for 6 hours that day. And, you know, so it's just going to be a great day to do that. But yeah, so just, you know, it's a day to remember our veterans and, you know, thank them for all the hard work that they've done for us in the past. And, yeah, so anyway, check website for further details. And otherwise, I hope y'all have a great weekend, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you at the end of the show for the surprise. And that's it for now. Back to Lee and Raleigh.
Thank you at the drugstore, and now gives it up for our sports reporter, Bonnie Marshall.
Number 13, you see the cats. Big on at 2:30 p.m. Come up 13, you see the cats. They will be away at USF. I don't know what time that. Kentucky face Tennessee at 7:30. Come up for Kentucky. The Bay. They'll be away at Brazil at I don't know what time that. State. At the home base, at noon. Come up. Number 3, Ohio State. At Rikers. I don't know what time that's Sunday. Rikers face Ravens. A 1. This Sunday, come on, Bakers, we'll be away at Wales at 4:25 p.m. That Sunday. Now for sports, go back to the end.
You are Marshall for doing the sports report, and now put your hands together for Mo Agnew! Mo Agnew!
What's going on?
You can sit on the couch.
I get a microphone and everything. How about that?
Just
Can't beat that.
for being here.
Of course. Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. It was our pleasure. Now tell me something. Mo, are you married?
I'm married, yes. I got married almost 2 years ago. Yeah, to a lovely woman named Molly. And
Oh, good thing.
yeah, very, very sweet. We have a 2.5-year-old girl.
And what's her name?
Her name is Crosley.
Crosby.
Crosley is a significant name in my house because the Reds used to play at Crosley Field, and I'm a huge baseball fan. But also,
Okay, cool.
I like Crosley radios, old-time Crosley radios. And so we wanted to give our daughter a Cincinnati name, and to me there's no more Cincinnati name than Crosley.
Okay, cool.
Or Furman, but mainly Crosley.
Well, you do not hear too many Crosleys here.
No, but we have met parents that do have some Crosleys, and they're usually big Reds fans, so it's kind of cool.
Oh, okay, well, that's nice. Well, you do not hear too many Leannes either, which is, that's my name, Leanne.
You know, my high school homecoming date as a freshman, her name was Leanne. How about that?
Cool.
Leanne Hughes.
Oh, cool. Well, then, well.
So I've now met 2.
See, my middle name is K-A-Y, like Leanne, K-R-A-L-E-I-G-H.
Okay.
That's my last name, Wiley. So
It's a very nice name.
That is, you are right. So now on to the questions, shall we? Now, question number one is, what do you do for a living?
I host a daily sports talk radio show on ESPN 1530 radio, 3 hours every single day. And it's a sports-based radio show. We talk about the Reds and the Bengals and the University of Cincinnati and Xavier University, the University of Kentucky, obviously, being right across the river. I was a huge sports fan growing up, and obviously been able to take a passion for sports. And I was also a really big fan of the radio when I was a kid. So to be able to have a job where I can combine the two passions has been a lot of fun. So it's a fun way to make a living.
Where did you go on your honeymoon?
On my honeymoon?
Yes.
Well, what's interesting is I've been married twice. How about that? So, yeah, twice. So my first honeymoon, I went to Maui many years ago with my first wife. My second wife and I have not yet gone on a real honeymoon because we got married after we had our daughter. So we haven't had a chance to break away and go on our honeymoon.
Oh, well, you should go. Might I suggest, Alaska? Might I suggest Florida on your honeymoon?
I'll have to keep that in. I've never been to Alaska. You have to pick the right time of year because sometimes in Alaska the sun never comes out, and oftentimes it's really cold.
Oh, yeah. So what you might want to do is go to a Florida on your honeymoon.
Sure.
Because I hear that Florida is so hot all year long.
I like the warm weather. I don't love cold weather. So for me, ideally, you want to go somewhere where it's warm.
About Florida.
Question number two is, when did you decide to work in radio?
Well, it's hard for me to pinpoint an exact time. When I was growing up, I was on a lot of long, lengthy car rides. I was seemingly always in the car, whether it be with my mom or my dad. And obviously, when you're in the car, you're usually listening to something, right? And for a lot of people, it might be music. For a lot of people, it might have been a CD, or in this day and age, an MP3 player. For my mom and dad, they were both big talk radio fans. And my dad was big into sports talk radio. My mom was just into talk shows. And so we were always in the car before I was ever allowed to have a television in my room. And this is in 1986, 1987. Before I was ever allowed to have a television in my room, I was allowed to have a radio. And I always had a really hard time sleeping, so I was always up listening to baseball games and sports talk shows. And I just developed a real sort of interest in to me, as a kid, the magic of something being said in one place and I could hear it in my room, or I could hear it in my parents' car. So that always really appealed to me. And the person on the radio that I was listening to always seemed to be having so much fun. So it just was always a little bit of an interest of mine. And then when I was in high school, somebody asked me, what I was thinking about doing, what I wanted to study, and I didn't really have, that many interests beyond sports, and I just thought the radio was neat. So I decided to pursue a career in radio. I went to the University of Dayton because they had a campus radio station that allowed students to be on the air as freshmen. And then eventually, found a way to work at 700 WLW while I was still in college, and I've been there ever since. So I don't know that there was a specific time, but when I was a little kid, I was always into sports, and I was always into radio. Whether it be music, or talk, or play-by-play, I was just always around, my parents and my grandparents who were always, listening to the radio. So I could attribute my interest in this profession really to them.
Okay, cool. Now, do you have to go, let me ask you a question. Do you have to go to a school to be on the radio?
Do you have to go to a specific school or even go to a college? No, I don't think so. I think it certainly helps. Number one, the college experience was a lot of fun. I was one of the first males in my family to go to college, so I was really proud of that. But no, the thing about radio is people come to it from all sorts of professions. There's a lot of people who maybe they started as writers and they ended up on radio, or they maybe were an attorney, a lawyer, where you have to have great verbal skills and you found your way to the radio. So I don't know that you need to go to a specific school. To me, as much as I enjoyed the college experience, I learned a lot more from being an intern and gaining hands-on experience and being around the radio station and being around broadcasters. That to me was a lot more valuable than any kind of coursework or any sort of academic field of study. Now that said, for what I do every single day, it's nice to have college to be able to reflect on. I'm glad I did it. I learned a lot of really interesting things. I studied other things in college that I wouldn't have been subjected to had I not gone. But no, I don't think you have to go to a broadcasting school or a 4-year university to have a job in radio.
Okay, good to know.
That's right. Applaud, less school.
Question number 3 is, what was your first job?
My first job was, I was in high school. I went to high school not too far from here, at Scott High School in Taylor Mill. So, right over here. And I was a busboy at a restaurant in Covington called the Beale Street Cafe. And I was a busboy, and then I was a waiter, and that was my first job that I had in high school. And I worked there my first 2 years in college as well. And Dayton and Covington are about an hour away. So I was going to school in Dayton, but working in Covington, usually on the weekends or at night or something like that. But I had other kind of odd jobs as well. I worked in a print shop, running a printing press, printing envelopes. I did that. I worked at a golf course, helping to landscape. I worked at a hat store, which was my least favorite job. But yeah, my first job was working in restaurants as a busboy and as a server.
That's nice. What if you saw pizza or something like that? Did you saw like pizza or something, P-I-Z-Z-A?
Are you asking me if I like pizza?
No.
Did you serve
you
it?
Oh, did I
saw
serve pizza?
Yeah.
No, we mainly served, hamburgers and spaghetti dishes, pasta dishes. I think they had meatloaf. I don't believe we had pizza. Would have been a good idea though, because I love pizza.
I love pizza, especially Jack's Pizza. They got some delicious pizza. And my uncle, by the way, my uncle likes Jack's Pizza too.
Now you're making me hungry.
I like Jack's too.
I like pasta too. So that's very good. Question number 4 is, how nervous were you the first time you were on the radio?
Not as nervous as I am right now. Being on your show. That's as nervous as I've been. I was terrified. I was terrified. The first time I was ever on the radio, I was hosting a Cincinnati Reds post-game show on a Saturday night. They gave me a chance to be on. This is in like 2003 or 2004. The Reds had just played the Colorado Rockies. So I'm all set. I'm about to, unleash what I'm going to say, what I'm going to, what my opinions are. I'm going to talk about the game. The Reds had just lost the game 4-3, and I came on the air and announced that the Reds won the game 4-3. So I got off to a rocky start, and I really haven't gotten any better. But yeah, there's always some degree of nervousness, I think. You're getting ready to speak to what I hope is a pretty large audience. Sometimes it's probably not. But yeah, over time you get used to it. And, if you're not prepared, you're nervous. If you are prepared, you're not nervous. So the idea, it's like taking a test in school. If you take a test and you're nervous, it means you probably didn't study. So the way I look at being on the air is you're not nervous if you prepare. So sometimes I don't prepare very well, so I'm nervous.
Well, I can't relate to that because I can relate to that because when I first did a talk show, I was nervous. We had these cups sitting here right and without no water in them. So yeah, I was saying to Miss Melanie at that time, where's the water?
You're always gonna have water. Gotta keep your voice box wet, hydrated.
Yeah. Exactly. Now question number 5 is, who was the first person that you interviewed?
That's a good question. I don't recall who the first person I interviewed in a talk show setting was. I don't recall that. The first person that I ever interviewed when I was starting out in radio, I did part-time work on the side that we call stringing. Now what stringing is, let's say the Reds are playing a game here in Cincinnati, and they're playing the Atlanta Braves. And the radio station in Atlanta might want someone in Cincinnati to interview Braves players, and then take the audio and send it back to Cincinnati, and they will hire someone here because they don't want to, have somebody travel. So I did that. I did it for the San Diego Padres, and they were playing the Cincinnati Reds, and one of my favorite players as a kid was Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn is one of the best hitters who ever lived. 3,000 hits. He led the league in batting a number of times. He was a great player. Well, at this particular game, it was at Riverfront Stadium. I'm stringing for the Padres, so my job is to go in the clubhouse, and I've never done this before, was to go in the clubhouse and conduct interviews with players who had played well that night. Well, as it happened, Tony Gwynn had a good game. I don't recall what he did, but he had a good game. I'm 22 years old. I've never done this job before. And so it's my job to go in there, get the interviews, and then send the audio, send the interview back to San Diego. So it's Tony Gwynn who's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. He was near the end of his career. He had a good game. And here I am, this, 22, 23-year-old kid. He's done 1,000 interviews. Clearly I'm less qualified than anybody he's ever talked to. And he could not have been friendlier. He could not have been nicer. He could not have been more professional. I'm sure he could tell that I was in over my head. I'm sure he could tell that I was nervous. I'm sure he could maybe tell that I was somebody who grew up loving Tony Gwynn. But that was really, really cool. And so I always get a kick out of interviewing people who are friendly, who are professional, who, you know, they make it worth your while, and they make it worth the audience's while. So that's the first interview that I can recall, and that's a pretty big interview because he's a Hall of Fame baseball player, so I kind of started really high, and then it's all been downhill since. No applause for that.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. There's no one who deserves rounds of applause less than me, so that's all right.
You're awesome, I think.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, you think you are awesome.
Thank you. Not many girls have told me that.
I bet your wife has told you that.
I guarantee she doesn't feel that way. but thank you for saying that.
You're welcome. And now, question number 6 is, what was your best interview?
Well, you know, that's another question that I don't know that I have somebody who comes to mind as the best. The best interviewers are the one who bring substance, and they have something to say. They're engaging. They're funny. You know, that they're very willing participants. The easiest interview that I ever did was, and probably the best, is I had a chance to interview Pete Rose in studio for an hour. And why it was cool is, number one, you know, Pete is a great storyteller. He is pretty up to date on what's happening in baseball today. He knows that I had been critical of him in the past, and so he was willing to sort of jab at me a little bit, if you will, and kind of challenge me on some of the things I had said about him. But I didn't grow up idolizing Pete Rose the way a lot of people in Cincinnati did. I'm too young. I don't remember him as a player. I remember him as the Reds manager and a little bit about the end of his career. But I tried to put myself in the shoes of somebody who idolized Pete Rose, like my dad did. My dad, you know, was his favorite player. And he could not have been more accommodating. We were out. We weren't in the studio. We were at a venue. We were at a casino, which I don't think would surprise anybody when you find out that Pete Rose was at a casino. But he was great, and I think he was great in large part because he knew I had been critical of him, and he still did the interview with me, and he still made fun of me. And you know, say what you want about him, and there's a lot about Pete that is, you know, not so great. But in that setting, it was really cool. And I kept thinking about how cool it would have been for my dad to be there for that, because my dad just worshipped Pete Rose. So that, to me, is probably best interview means I did a good job, which I can't say that I did, but favorite interview is it's probably Pete.
So how is good old Pete Rose doing?
I'm sorry?
How is good old Pete Rose doing?
How's he doing?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. It's been a number of years since I've talked to him. But you know, he makes public appearances, and it seems like he's doing okay. So.
We are the end.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, for question number 7, what is the best part of your job?
Best part of my job is I don't have to wear a tie. I don't have to wear a suit. I don't even have to shower. No, the best part of my job, I think anybody who is in broadcasting, anybody who serves an audience, the best part is getting feedback from the audience. And sometimes the feedback isn't great, but I always think it's neat when you meet people and they say, I heard this interview that you did, or you said this on the radio and it made me think, or it made me laugh, or it made me mad. That to me is the best part. It's getting feedback from people that hear your work, that recognize your work, and it's always cool. You know, the idea when you're on the air is to not just fill the time, but it's to say things and do things that people remember. And sometimes it might make them angry at you. Sometimes it might change their mind about something. Hopefully sometimes it makes them think. Hopefully sometimes it makes them laugh. But I always enjoy it when you talk to people and they say, you know, I was listening to you last month and you said this and it made me laugh. Or, hey, 6 months ago I was in my car and you said this and I got so angry. That's the best part. The best part is, you know, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why we do these jobs, but at the end of the day, your boss is the audience. You know, the people that you're working for are the audience. And so if you're not getting any feedback, that means no one's listening. So that to me is, and sometimes I do wonder if anybody actually is listening, and I can't blame them if they're not. But that to me that's the best part, is getting feedback from listeners.
On radio, and I think that's fantastic. You know, I kind of always wanted to be in radio.
Well, you'll have to come visit me at the radio studio, okay? You have an open invitation. Very good.
Well, good. Question number 8 says, what would you tell someone who would want to start a career in radio?
Don't. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. You know, I'm asked that question a lot by, you know, kids who want to get started, and it's changed so much. What we consume and the way we deliver broadcasts has changed so much just since I started. You know, you asked me before about going to school. When I was a kid, you know, I decided I wanted a career in radio one day. It was, well, you know, you have to find a college or a school that's going to give you a chance to be on the radio. And then you have to get a job at a small market radio station. And the reality is broadcasting has changed so much. What you guys are doing today is something that anybody can do. Anybody can do a podcast. Anybody can, you know, have a YouTube channel. And so I think those things, I kind of believe that the next wave of people that you hear on the air, on the radio, or see on TV are going to be found on the internet. And you're starting to see that happen already. So, you know, to me, number one would be, no matter your age, no matter your level of experience, start doing it. If you're in high school, if you're in college, and you're not studying communication, or you're not ready to go to college yet, or even if you're, you know, beyond college years and you've thought about, you know, I want to be in broadcasting one day, you can start at home. And so that's what I would tell anybody, is get started right now. Start on your own. And then once you do it, there's things you have to get used to. You know, not everybody's going to like you, so you have to get used to that. You have to get used to being told no. You have to really get thick skin and develop a willingness to listen to constructive criticism, which is a lot easier to say than do. But I think the main thing is you just have to know how to relate to people. And I think that's a skill that transcends, you know, radio or frankly a lot of fields. You have to know how to talk about things in a manner that people understand, that they get, that relates to their lives. And I think once you figure that out, then I think you've kind of unlocked the secret.
We have a special announcement. Take it away, Letho Jokester.
Okay, guys. Now, like you just heard Leanne say, I want to say something that you all probably heard yesterday, but our dearest friend Richie Carl has passed Tuesday night into sleep. We're all going to miss him dearly, and we all want you to send your prayers in your regards to his family, and we all wish them the best of luck with everything. We hope the best for them, and we all love them, and God bless them.
Well, that's all the time we have today. We want to thank Mo, Ego, and we want to thank the Weather Jokes for being the weather guy, and we want to thank Ronnie Marshall for doing the sports report, being the sports report. See ya later, guys, all next week. Bye bye, be kind.